Welcome to the show. Welcome to Creative Emotions. I am your host, Vaquita Taylor. And if this is your first time joining, I just want to let you know what you can expect from this show. Motivation, encouragement, inspiration, empowerment, information, transparency. Ain't nothing you can do about that, okay? I thank you so much for joining. Make sure you share this with your family and your friends, and make sure you are in tune, in touch. Please listen in. Don't just tap on and get off. Please listen in on this, because I believe it's for somebody. The way it came to me, the way the Holy Spirit brought it to me, I know it's for somebody. Speaking of that, Holy Spirit, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in here. Come on in there. Make sure you come on and stay. Don't leave us, okay? He said he would never leave nor forsake us. So I am very positive with believing that. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Again, if this is your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will really appreciate the support. I've been doing this for 3 years, and of course, there's different ways that I can market and get this out. My titles are not probably popular because it's more of a self-help and self-development and self-discovery. But I am surrendered to the process of how I'm doing it, how I am supposed to do it. And when open doors come, I'll be ready. And that's it. But I just want to let you guys know I do have copies of my book still available. If you have not gotten your copy, I Want My Own Husband, Mindset and Standards on Marriage. This is mindset and standards on marriage is the main thing, okay? This is the fluff. But mindset and standards on marriage is what we all should have when getting into marital relationships. A lot of times it's for, what it looks like on the outside. But marriage is work. I was married before, and I don't regret anything I've been through. It definitely was to help me, and I'm okay with that. But marriage is beautiful. So when you desire it, if you already been in it and you are divorced, if you want to get married, if you're married already, if you're a man or a woman, this book is for you. A really good read. So make sure you get your copy. Support, okay? This is a very, very, I would say, delicate subject that many of us silently faced at one point or another. This is a topic that's held people sometimes in suspended animation, moving nowhere fast. And what I mean by that is, have you ever went over somebody's house and it's nostalgic? Like everything's the same, like you can just see like nobody has grown, or I would say purged. Everything is just the same. Even your parents, you go over there and it's the same couch with the plastic on it. You got to like rip yourself off to get off of it. Or you go over, they got the china cabinets with the same china you put it that they had in there when you were younger. You go over these people's houses and they're kind of just suspended in animation, just stuck. This subject has been buried in the ground of a lot of people that never were able to express their true feelings. This subject will set you free and heal you if it's truly taken into heart. And so the title of today's show is Forgiving Your Parents. And it's a serious topic. It's something that I think all of us go through at one point or another. Just discovering, different things within us. Again, make sure you share this with your family, your friends. I'm sure that it will help somebody. And this is a live show, so you can call in at 313-266-2811. This is a live show, so your experience matters. What you've been through matters. What you have to pour into this subject, it matters. And so I will leave that space open, for anybody that feel the need to call and say, you know what? I need to forgive my parents, or I forgave my parents and this is what it looks like. So that's important. How many people know forgiveness comes a lot of times without receiving an apology? So we have to be mindful of that. You saying I'm going to forgive somebody may never be followed up with, you know what, I wronged you and I'm sorry. It may not, but you accepting that and making sure you take that initiative to clear your heart space, that's your job. It's on you, and it's very important to, continue with your healing process. This is a beautiful thing. When we get hurt, or when we feel all of these different emotions. If you allow yourself to feel, that's the most beautiful space to be in. When you allow yourself is when you fake it, when you force it, and when you act like nothing is wrong is when it negatively affects us. So I allow myself to feel, okay? If I feel mad, I'm gonna be mad and I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna see why, see what the wrong is. If it's in me, I'm gonna fix it, whatever, whatnot. If I'm sad, I'm gonna cry. I'm going to cry and I'm going to let it out. And then I'm going to say, okay, I felt that emotion and I figure out where it came from. If I feel betrayed, I talk about it. I write it down, or I'll speak about it, or I'll talk to the person that, the action came from, because it may be a misunderstanding. But I took control of my emotions and my feelings, and I don't harbor them. I don't hold them. I allow them to be. And it's important to do that because it's freeing with allowing your feelings to just be. Forgiveness is similar to pardon. So you can, when you go to jail and you get pardoned, they just wipe it, right? It's gone. Exonerating, clearing, acquittal, that's letting go. So forgiveness is that. So you saying, okay, I'm letting it go. I'm not going to let it hold me up. I'm not going to let it, stop my flow. But this is just to name a few. When people have children, it's no secret. It's not always a loving situation we see on television. Because, the Cosby's made it look like, honey, our family was dysfunction. No. We look at a lot of family dynamics that were on television that we were influenced by. And it wasn't, some of them was the ideal family. Some of them wasn't. But if you look at that, it's not the healthy two-parent home that breeds sometimes healthy children. And I say sometimes because you cannot judge a book by its cover, okay? A lot of people came from two-parent households, and you only want what you don't have, right? So some people that have two-parent households, they complain about being in two-parent households. They complain about, what they received. And you have other people that pray they were in two-parent households. So it's just different, for different people. But when you think about it, when people have children that are not in relationships, it complicates things. And probably 80% of the time, children are created that way. With people they are not necessarily looking to further their relationship with, or they don't want a relationship. It was what it was, or it is what it is, or something happened and that person totally hates the other person, and now the child suffers. The children always suffer from the parents' lack of intimacy. So, a lot of times it's immature relationships, and the intimacy is all that matters. But you bring a child into this world, they become adults that have to come and listen to this podcast and say, hey, forgive your parents, because it's okay. It's okay. It is freedom. It's freedom and forgiveness. It's freedom and, forgiving. You then have adults, again, that feel neglected. They feel abandoned, and it turns sometimes into rage and sometimes into hate. I've seen it. I see it still to this day. Some people are walking around and don't know who one or the other is, their mother or their father. And so just think about, the sense of anger that can come from this, or feeling that you don't know who you are or where you come from. This turns into unforgiveness from an affected child. And so if you're just joining, I'm talking about forgiving your parents and what that looks like. This is not a blaming. This is for you to seek the healing and help that you so deserve, and your parents, so you guys can start from scratch. Just start all over. It's okay to start over. There are so many situations that stem from what we may consider lack of parenting. But forgiveness has to be a deliberate, conscious decision to release feelings of resentment and vengeance against the parent or parents. Because some people I don't fool with neither one of them. For whatever reason, we don't know. They may be valid. I'm not here to validate or not validate your feelings. I'm just here to talk about the situation at hand, how unforgiving and you not forgiving your parents can affect your life negatively. We have a responsibility as parents, just as our children have. So I looked up a few verses, and we all have responsibility when it comes to parents and when it comes to children. This is the ESV version.
excuse me, Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way they should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart. That is something that I definitely live by, because we can be pouring into our children, not thinking that they're listening, and the situations happen and they do exactly what you've been banging over their head to do. And so no matter what, you pour something good into your children, it comes back out. Ephesians 6:4, the ESV version. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. Bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Ephesians 6:1-4. This is the ESV version as well. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So that's important when you see people disrespecting and dishonoring their parents. Colossians 3:21. It's the ESV. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. And so you have to be mindful that you may have been provoked, and so your parents have to come to a aha moment to ask for forgiveness in their own way. It's just not up. It's not up for you. It's up to you to forgive so that you can free up that heart space. But these are just a few scriptures that remind us of our duty as parents and children to their parents. What this journey does, it doesn't allow us to pick our parents. So we need to be real about that. You can't go and be like, I want that one with black hair and give me him a little taller. Like, we can't. We don't have that, that capacity. So it's a blessing that your parents got together because they made you. Thank them for that. If you don't thank them for nothing else, thank them because you're here. Everything that happened in your life ultimately was to set you up for your now moment. So being able to be realistic allows us to look at our parents as human beings first and foremost. This actually shifted my approach to my feelings toward my parents at one point. When I was growing up, me and my dad, our relationship was a little estranged, but he was faithful as far as he came and picked me up every weekend. He was in my life. I personally wanted more as an individual, right? So it wasn't that he wasn't there. So I appreciated that. We talked about it. We had our powwow moments. We had moments where we was like, look, what we about to do? Because I don't know what's going to happen. And we allowed it to just be authentic, right? Just a natural, easy flow, no forcing. So my approach toward my parents it was a little, a little scratchy, because then I felt some type of way about my mom as well. Like, you always gone. But then I figured, well, she was working, going to school, 2 jobs, doing all this stuff. So you come to realize why your parents doing certain things. And I turned around and started doing the same thing, which is, we don't realize that. But I pulled back from the titles of mom and dad. I took those titles off to be able to look at them with pure eyes, with eyes that did not judge. And I was able to look at them for who they were. They were human beings first. And when I did that, it was like, oh, okay, so they, I pulled back the responsibility. I felt like, again, I had to look at them like humans. All that, you supposed to do this, or you should have did that, or you should have did this, and why you didn't put me here, and why you didn't do this. I took all of that away, and I looked at them as humans. You are human first. You have your own life. You had your own life before me. You had me. Probably wasn't in the best circumstances. I don't know, but you had me, and you have your own life. But what I came to realize was that it was like I was finding myself making mistakes, making friends, losing friends, figuring out what I like, what I don't like, learning responsibilities. And my parents were literally doing the same thing. Our parents are literally doing the same thing. It's just on different scales. And just because I feel like a person grow up as much as they've been poured into, and then everything else, sometimes they're in survival mode, unfortunately, sometimes. This is a live show. You can call in at 313-266-2811. If in fact you have, something to say about this subject, and this is about forgiving your parents and what that looked like. People can only give you what they have deposited in them. And there is no rule book to this, how it's supposed to be. We all kind of just figure this thing out. And so we have to be mindful of that. There are no laws in place, but there are rules other than the foundational, words that's in the Bible. If you believe in that, there are scriptural foundational rules that can keep us in line as children and as parents. But everybody's not into that. Everybody don't grow into that. Everybody's not raised that way. So that's understandable. But those are things you need to think about too. How was your parents raised? Were they in a religious home? Was it a really strict religious home? Was they not in a religious home where they could just do whatever they want to do? They was off the chain. I mean, you just don't know, because in that, you make certain decisions that sometimes can negatively affect you. And so we have to be mindful. Our parents had lives before they had us. And everybody don't make that decision to say, oh, I want to be responsible and then have a child. That does not always happen. It is some people that can plan their lives accordingly, right? The husband and wife get together. Okay, we doing our thing. Now, let's have a baby, right? So that child may be wanted. A lot of children are coming into this world not even wanted. Like 2 steps from the abortion clinic. So that, I personally feel like, because words have power, from the womb. So if you're not wanted from the womb, that can negatively affect you too. But you don't know what people are going through. So this goes back to being able to forgive our parents for what we don't know. But what I noticed is that my parents had a childhood that I never really asked about. And so that's what I started to do. I started to ask, how did you grow up? What did you have? Where was your dad? How do you feel about your mom? How did you feel about your dad? Did you have, one-on-one time with your parent? Like, I asked these questions, and to my surprise, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So now I realized a few things that was happening that wasn't happening to my parent. And I said, okay, that gave me a little bit of compassion. That gave me compassion to look at them like, wow, that's what's up. I love you even more because you're an overcomer. You know what I'm saying? Again, looking at them like they're human first. So they had a life before me that shaped the way they moved and the way they lived their life. And I had to understand that if you're watching this and you felt abandoned, unloved, uncovered, unseen, not heard, I'm here to tell you that all was a part of your becoming who you are. And you're becoming. This life is a journey. It's nonstop evolving. Nonstop. It's only when we stop, when things around us keep moving, it builds up a shield around us. And you have to break through it. You have to break through that because there's a life before you. And so if you're holding on to unforgiveness in your heart toward your parents, this message is for you. This message is for you to consciously, deliberately break that shell that you have around your heart to say, I would never forgive you. I would never forgive that. You have people that have been, and bad things have happened to them. That doesn't take away from that, right? Doesn't take away from abusing, molestation, all these different things that Black families don't necessarily want to talk about, but they will come out sooner or later. You have to think about all of these different things that people go through. That's not to make light of it, but it will save you if you forgive. It will leave space in your heart when you forgive. It's important to forgive your parents, not to hold that in. Just don't hold it. Don't hold it. It's dangerous. But you have to have a dependency on God so strong, you don't hold this heaviness over yourself and over your parents. Because doing that can be a little manipulative, to keep holding certain things that happen over their head or keep bringing it up. Remember that time? And you just live in there. And so you take your parent down this spiral of memories, bad memories, and yourself, all because you're not doing your healing work to deal with those things. And so especially if you drink, it's really coming out. Everybody getting chopped up because, honey, that drinking spirit don't care who in the room. Everybody can get it. And so you want to be careful with that. What you're taking in, and when you have these conversations, how that look. Hey, Chef Wilson, thank you so much for watching. Give a shout out to everybody who's joined me, everybody who's watching. Again, this is a tough topic. It's not nothing that's like, oh my God, so controversy. It's not about relationships. I ain't talking about marriages. I'm talking about forgiving your parents. And what does that look like? It looked like healing for you. Once you do the work, it's nothing that can stop you when it comes to that. Psalms 27:10. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. I had a moment in my life where that's how I felt. I felt like, okay, let me get to the point where I'm no longer holding this. This was years ago though. I've done that already. I love my parents, my father, my mother. They're beautiful individuals. I love them for who they are, where they are. They doing their own things, and it's okay. I'm doing my own thing too. They poured into me as much as they could. I'm grateful, super grateful. So that's not, but I had a moment where I said, I'm just going to dive and delve into God and everything that is. And so I was at church Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, reading my Bible study. Everything was about God. And it still is. It's just not to an extreme, but it's in my everyday life. So forsake equals abandon. It means abandon someone or something. So when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. So a lot of people feel like they're alone. Like I don't have nobody. All I had was my mother and my father. Well, you have God. You're not alone. You have your Holy Spirit. God is in you. And so once you know that everything is inside, it changes your world. It changes everything about you. So we are looking to our parents to fulfill certain duties and responsibilities. Then we judge them based on what they did not do to make life easier. And so just think about that. You didn't make my life easy. You were supposed to do that. You were my parent. You had me. Regardless of the circumstances in which they had you. But we have this responsibility we put on our kids. You're supposed to feed me. You're supposed to clothe me. You're supposed to, but what if mentally they don't even have the capacity to be a parent? But none of that was taken into account. None of that was talked about, right? Because you had help from everywhere else. And so these different things can come up to where you feel some type of way. A lot of fathers are absent, and that's in daughters and their sons' lives. So you have little boys that have children. They're, and they got to get it how they live and figure it out. And so you leave a trail of hurt children. That's men and women. Because a lot of men that I see, they have these issues of abandonment. We don't talk about that. We only talk about the woman feeling abandoned and insecure and all these kind of things. Well, men go through these things too. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've witnessed it. I've dealt with a person who had these mental situations, if you will, that would not address them. But I've seen them. Am I a licensed doctor? No. But I'm a human being and I know what affects us because it affected me. So nothing is different just because we're male and female. We can have the same emotions or feelings about certain things that hurt. And so, just being mindful of that. But this can seem normal. And I don't believe we are wrong for expecting our parents to give us the basic care. Like, I don't think we're wrong for that, but we do have to be mindful of our expectations. And the only way you can do that is by knowing where it started. Start asking questions about their family, about their upbringing. I know one time I used to always lean on my mom and hug on her and be like, I was young and I was real like huggy. I always hug every time I see somebody when I come in the room. And she used to be like, go. And I didn't think about that. I was just like, all right. But every time she'd be like, quick, because it was like maybe at the wrong time. I don't know. But I asked her a question years after. And I said, Mom, did your mom like show you affection? And, she like, no, my mom didn't hug. That's just not how she was. And so then I was like, oh, that makes sense. That doesn't mean she didn't love me or like, she couldn't give me that. That just wasn't in her. That's not how she was raised. That's not how she grew up. And so once you ask these questions to your parents and they're open enough to express these things, you will have a different understanding. It will be easier for you to say, you know what? I forgive you. Even without saying it to them, you can just say, you know what? I forgive, because holding it in does not help me. It hurts me. And it's just not good for your health. So ask those questions. Talk to those mothers and those fathers, especially if they still living. Talk to them. Record it if you can. Just ask them, their best moments when they were younger, if they can remember. Ask them, what happened to them when they were younger. Just different things. Just pour out whatever's in your heart to ask them. Ask. But the journey to forgiveness is saying you only gave what you had and I forgive you. That is what it is. So parents may not take these talks easy, right? Everybody will not be open to have this talk. Disclaimer. Everybody may not. But if they are, I mean, nobody wants to hear like, oh my God, you've been horrible to me. My childhood was horrible. Nobody wants to hear that, especially if it's coming from their child. Nobody wants to hear that. So just be mindful of that. If you choose to talk about it, go in light. Don't go in talking at them. But ask questions so that you can get an understanding. There's nothing like an understanding. But if you go in accusatory and you just like, you did this and you should have did this and why you never did this, I'm telling you right now, that will not end well. So don't do that. Just go in with compassion, with love, and trying to get an understanding of your parents' childhood, if you care enough to do it, because it's really good. I talked to my dad a little bit about, his childhood and some of his things, and he just told me his first job was at McDonald's, because my son's first job at McDonald's, and he was like, yeah, that was my first job, and I'm like, oh, that's what's up. That's something I didn't know. So it's just, we're forever learning, even our own family. So just have some compassion and, go in this deliberately. But have you ever asked your parents, again, how their childhood was? Have you seen the dynamic of your parents' relationship with their parent? Like, do they say, oh, I don't talk to them, I don't fool with them? That would tell you a lot. Have you ever been around them and their parent just dogging them? You like, dang, you don't like them at all. I've seen it. It's not a good feeling. So that the young adult or that adult will learn to, not like their parent. But just think about that. Have you seen your parent sad or missing something from their parent? I definitely had times where, in my being observant, I seen it. Like, okay, dang. They needed their father at that time, or they needed their mother at that time. And again, this is going into this with compassion. If you're just joining, I'm about to wrap it up, and I'm just talking about forgiving your parents and what that looks like in 2024 and how that will make the rest of your 2024 and beyond even better once you do. Once you do say, you know what? Okay, let me stop. But this is an ongoing cycle, and if it's not changed or checked, we can turn into our parents. We can turn right into them. Another version. I definitely see myself. I see myself very strong. My mother is a beautiful woman. Very strong woman. It was that strong woman era. But she was doing it. She was out here and she was getting it. Working, going to school, just doing all this kind of stuff. So when I got her age, I was working 2 jobs, going to school. I'm all over the place. I got my kids. I'm taking them daycare, dropping them off here, dropping them off here. And I was like, wait, I'm doing the same thing that my mama was doing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I just have to see what my children need from me. But I was able to see that. I was able to see, what was happening. On the contrary, think we can do a better job and allow our children to miss out on life, trying to overcompensate for what you feel went wrong with you. I definitely overcompensated at times. And so you can be like, oh, I'm never going to do that to my child. I'm never going to let my child walk 3 miles. I'm never going to let my child do this. And so we put in all of these, I'm never going to, against what's going on. And our children are suffering. They're suffering because we're taking away all of the responsibility. And that is a part of our growth. And so I think we do our children a disservice when we change everything about our childhood, merging with the times and trying to, take away that rod of correction. We had to, honestly, because, honey, the CPS was called at every given moment. So a lot of times you couldn't even whoop your child like you did. And so a lot of things change, but I believe that we can overcompensate and we can ruin our children, giving them everything. They never seeing a bus, never seeing a job for real, never seeing real responsibilities because we felt like our parents were too hard on us. So this is just a part of being able to forgive your children and making sure you're not turning into your parent and you're not overcompensating and ruining your children. We got to be mindful of all of this on this journey. Proverbs 29:17, discipline your son and he will give you rest. He will give delight to your heart. Proverbs 23:13, Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. I am guilty of this. I'm tell you, I had to learn the hard way. Because I was like, I ain't about to just be beating on them and doing all that. Man, yeah. Spare the rod, spoil the child. That's in the word too. I had to be mindful of that. But love your parents for the individuals they are. Their experience has shaped them just like yours. Respect your parents, even if you choose to be distant. If you choose to say, you know what, I forgive them, but I'm not gonna mess with them like that. That's your choice. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just want you to know that unforgiving anybody in your life can negatively affect you. But today I'm talking about your parents. Forgive your parents. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. And we can't, it just don't work that way. It's not condoning the bad things that have happened to you, the selfishness, the rejection, their meanness, their brutality, and any other character flaw, misdeeds, or anything else that has happened to you. This is to say, with all that has been done and with the cards that have been dealt to you, I forgive you. And this is what you say to your parent with all that's been happening and with everything and stuff that I don't even know about, that I couldn't even imagine. Because some of them stories might be horror stories and it might regurgitate something out of them. You don't know. You don't know what will be open after you have these conversations. But being mindful and prayerful is a good thing. Hi, welcome to Creative Emotions. Who am I speaking with?
Thank you. It's Chef.
Hi, Chef. How are you?
I'm great. Good topic today.
Thank you so much.
You said it. Yeah. You know how you always sit there. You hit on some good things, and I just wanted to add something for your listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
One reason why you remember when they probably had you, they were still at a point of life when they were maturing and walking into their wisdom. They may have not had a chance to come back and right their wrongs, things they're said, things they may have did. So you have to keep that in mind, because even at our present state, we're still learning.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
It's forever.
Right. So let's keep that in mind. Just think about, you sometimes ask your parents, if you haven't figured out the math on it, how old were you when you had me? And they were really trying to figure it out.
Definitely.
And you just hit on something about with the children, and what mold is our experiences. So sometimes we will shelter our children a little bit too much.
Yes, I know. I did.
Yes. But if you look at how we turned out, experiences in life will mold you. So parents, don't shelter them too much. You know what I'm saying? You kind of leave them in the dark with life that way.
Definitely.
You understand? Parents, if you're listening, don't leave the children in the dark. Let them go through a couple things. It's almost like when you're teaching your child how to ride a bike. And you hold on to the back of the seat, right? At a certain point, you have to let go, have a little faith. Even if they fall down and scuff their knee a little bit, they're going to get back up, So don't shelter too much, or say, I don't want them to go through what I went through.
And we all do
sometimes,
it.
Yeah, we can give them we can give them too much, right? And then they don't have a spirit of being appreciative. You know what I'm saying? When it comes so easy.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add those. I know you're wrapping up things. Keep up with your amazing journey. Okay. Keep up with your amazing journey and stuff. And
have you had any issue? I mean, so over your life, can you say that with your mother and your father, have you had these hard conversations where you felt like you lacked in any way, and were they open to it?
Oh, absolutely. I had conversations with my mom, and I know that, I have 5 sisters, so I got a twin brother also.
Yeah.
So we came at the tail end. But my dad, he was out in the street doing his thing, hustling. So my mom, when it was time for us to hang with our dad, we hung out with him, but not as much because she seen the type of life he was living. It was like, oh, these are my boys. They're not going to go through all of that. But it was a lot of life lessons there.
Okay.
It was a lot of life lessons there that I probably missed out on. That I'm just now, at my age, my dad filling me in on things, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I had conversations. I had with my dad also, right?
Okay.
And like you said, I didn't come in with the bolo spirit because people shut down on you.
Absolutely.
And they go into defense mode. They go right into defense mode trying, and then you see, then what happens, you don't even get what you went in to receive at that time.
Yep. You defeat the whole purpose.
But just to answer your question, I did have a conversation. I think I was close. I was in my mid 40s.
Okay.
At that time, when not just at that point in life, when I decided to. Mm-hmm. So, yes, just to answer the question, I did. And I think we all should.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you calling in.
All right, Keith.
Have a good one.
All right. Have an amazing evening.
Yes. Shout out to Podcastic and those that are watching on Podcastic. YouTube, those that are watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much for joining. Again, this is a not so easy topic when it comes to forgiving your parents because it can, regurgitate some things that are not pleasing, to your mind, your soul. It can bring back negative memories, but being able to forgive will clear all of that out, honey. You dig it up and toss it out and lay new seed on the ground. Try to see where you can go from there. I've had, many talks where I said, well, where can we go from here? And it was a decision made and we never looked back. Me and my dad just like, hey, what we gonna do? Well, we're going to just make sure it's not forced. We're going to just go with the flow. And that's what it was. And it was like, okay, I'm going to honor you. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father, and your days will be long on the land. And so I'm going to honor you. And, I'm going to be here for you. And I'm going to love on you. And that's what I said. It's my mother and my father. That's what I'm going to do, no matter what. I've already went through my forgiving and letting go and things of that nature. So if you have not done this, I am pleading with you to take that time out, to have these conversations with your parents, to ask them about their childhood, to ask them about certain things they've been through. Ask them, how were you, what mind frame were you in when you had me? Or did you, did you want me? Because we don't want to really know all that. But, just ask those certain questions that come to your heart that you feel comfortable speaking about. But here are some ways to foster that forgiveness for any toxic parenting you may have experienced. I'm going to give you a few that I practice. Resolve resentment. Again, I went through saying how I feel, writing down how I feel. I even wrote it down and burnt it up and threw it out, after I had the talk, because I don't want anything to linger. I resolved that because I didn't want to have any resentment. I didn't want it to carry on until my adult life. It's like at some point, why are we going through this? So if you can help it, do that by having a conversation. It will take away that resentment after you get some understanding. When a person say, I was like this or I did this because of that, and you can have an understanding to say, oh, okay, that's why this and that happened, and to give you, a little bit of compassion. Number 2, develop realistic expectations. A lot of times our expectations, again, for our parents are, you're my parent. You're supposed to do this, this, and this, and this, and that. I'm at this place with my young adults right now where I only got one that's 16, the other one 19, the other one 20, should be 21. So the whole cooking and what we eating and all that stuff, what y'all cooking and what y'all bringing? And they say, well, you my mama. Okay, guess what? You ain't never went without. And we at a place where, honey, the bird gonna have to get on the edge of the nest and see what's out there. I'm not saying you gotta go. But we gonna get you ready for your independence, whether you're with me or not. I never will put my children out. I don't know who even started that. When they get 18, put them out. That's insane. But no, just getting them prepared. So I'm that parent where They have these expectations of me to mind what you cooking. You the parent. I didn't ask to be here and all this kind of stuff. They say it jokingly, but I'm like, look, y'all better tell me what y'all cooking today, because that's it. That's it. So just having realistic expectations. Number 3, find some good and hold on to it. Just like Chef was talking about, riding that bike. If that's a memory that you can hold on to, honey, hold it, okay? And don't let it go. Just make new memories. Make new memories. A big shout out to everybody that's watching. I see Rod. He said, great topic. Ina, hey, sis, let them know you forgive them while they are still here. That is true, brother, for real. Cynthia Bridges, good evening, sis. Ina, because forgiveness is for yourself to be able to move forward. Yes, it is. Rod, forgive and you shall be forgiven. Amen, brother. Number 4, commit to the journey of forgiveness. You have to commit to it. If you say you're going to do it, follow through. Don't get mad. Don't let it trigger you. They say one thing and you like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I'm done. Like, no, be committed to this journey. Be committed to getting to this forgiveness that you're looking for. Number 5, let them back into your life with boundaries. If you have dismissed your parents out of your life, let them back in with boundaries. It don't have to be, overbearing. You are in control of this. But make sure you're forgiving. Make sure that you don't hold anything heavy on your heart. And number 6, and what I always preach, honey, enjoy the journey. Enjoy this journey. You would not be who you are if everything was perfect. That's just not how it goes. So appreciate everything that comes to you, every learning lesson, everything that come to you, appreciate it. So I hope that this has helped somebody today. If it's helped one person, has done his job. I appreciate you guys joining me on this evening. Again, every Wednesday at 6:00, I am here. I am here to bring motivation, encouragement, information, transparency, inspiration. Okay? And good vibes. All of it. You're going to get all of it. So I appreciate, again, you guys joining me with these hard topics that we, sometimes come across. But God bless you. I pray that God blesses you from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, that your desires are laid upon the feet of God and it is honored, okay? That he hears you when you pray and he answers you always. I love you. And there's nothing you can do about that, okay? See you next week. Peace.